Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for our invocation by our supervisor, Mr. Hogan. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this opportunity to come together and to conduct business on behalf of our citizens. We ask that you give us guidance and wisdom, and may everything that we do here tonight be pleasing to you and to the benefit of our citizens. Keep us safe as we travel back to our homes. All these things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Now, before we go any further, Reverend Jones, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and state your business.
Okay. Alfred L. Jones III. I'm at the Hall Tropics, Graham Avenue, Tagbalarian City, Bohol, Philippines.
Thank you, sir.
Joining them remotely.
Okay, next we have a setting of the agenda. Does anyone have any items they'd like to add to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to citizen public comment period.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Motion made to adopt the agenda. Is our second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right. Citizen public comment period. This time is provided by the board to allow citizens the opportunity to address the board on issues of importance to these citizens. No individual citizen shall be permitted to address the board for more than 3 minutes. And we have three citizens sign up. First, Mr. Wolfskill. Oh, I forgot. Name and address for the record if anybody else comes up too.
Ken Wolfskill, Poorhouse Creek Road, Appomattox. Thank you for this time to address you. Regarding the impending appointment to the Library Board of Directors or consideration thereof, I wanted to share some thoughts about Reverend Dr. Paul Michael Raymond. He submitted his request to be seriously considered for the Library Board, and his email that he sent to Reverend Jones was, I hold both master and doctoral degrees. I am the founder and dean of a private college and seminary which teaches students in the U.S. and Africa. I am a published author, conference speaker, and have run a successful business for 33 years, along with my ministering and planting churches. What is especially pertinent to my request is that I've built a library of 11,000 books, in addition to housing thousands of microprint primary source materials right here in Appomattox. My request for the position still stands, and I thought it fitting to send you my qualifications. Now, I also put together some thoughts about Dr. Raymond. His presence in the community has been demonstrated by his care for our community in such things as a vocal advocate for decency and concern for children and their families through local papers, various groups, and networking. Founder of the educational facility in Appomattox available to the entire community, as well as an online college. He worked as a CASA advocate for children at risk. As an educator himself, he focuses on history of America and world history for youth, as well as self-defense classes, all open and available to our community. His genuine concern and neighborly consideration for the past 25-plus years as not only a pastor of his own church, but sort of a general pastor and counselor for everyone he sees and meets in his daily activities, would make Dr. Raymond a wonderful addition to our Library Board of Trustees. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Jones.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Next, we
you.
have Mr. Murch.
Jesse Murch, 1890 Church Street. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. I'm also going to second Dutch, Ken Wolfskill, I know him as Dutch, my friend, to support Paul Raymond as a selection choice for Library Board of Trustees. The reasons are very similar. I've known him since I was 15 years old. I'm 33. The impact he's had on my life in terms of how I see the world and how I see education in general, I attribute mostly to his diligent tutelage. I think he would be an appropriate choice for the board because the problems of the board have been demonstrated. And the problems of the board that were demonstrated, don't need to go into all the details of that, is that they're aimless. They don't have a sense of what education is supposed to be about. It's not about obscenity. It's not about pornography. None of those things have anything to do with education. And so in my mind, you need to select someone, whether it's Paul Raymond or not. The duty that you all have is to select people for this position that have their aim towards education. And not only has Paul Raymond expressed that, of his desire to run for the position, but I think has the qualifications to be a good addition to that board. Not only to just make good decisions, but frankly to lead. And I think that may be something that may be wanting on that board, just to say, hey, what is the right call to make on this? If someone proposes something insane, like let's make a LGBTQ display for children, which is insane, by the way, Pastor Raymond would be one of the voices to say, absolutely not. Absolute, like, what? Or you've been smoking, come on. So I think you need someone like that. I'm not sure of the other members of the board. I can only speak to what I know Paul Raymond would do. So I know him for 18 years. I can speak to his character and to his pastoral commitment to these things. He's not just such a bull in a china shop. He knows how to advocate for children and has demonstrated that through the years. So I think you'd be a good addition to that board. But whoever you end up nominating for that position, and I know there's a name that's going to be proffered. I have no real objections to it on my own. I don't know her very well. But whoever you end up putting in this position, it is on you that you nominate somebody who you know is of character and who will lead the library in a way that conforms with the values of the citizens of Appomattox, that has standards in mind when they're going to be put in this position, and it's going to be going along with what's obviously indecent and obscene for children. So I'll basically end with that I hope you'll consider Paul Raymond as a choice, and I think you would be a good addition to that Library Board of Trustees. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is anyone else here to address the board who failed to sign up? Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is our Sheriff, Donnie Simpson. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Jones. Can you hear me, Mr. Jones?
Good evening. Yes, I can. Good evening.
Just out of curiosity, what time is it?
It is 6:10 a.m.
Oh, okay, all right. Good morning.
Good morning.
As many of you probably know, I'm closing out my term at the end of the year, and there's one project that I would like to bring you up to speed on that, quite frankly, it's not completed to my satisfaction. I feel like we're making progress, but I'm leaving this somewhat open-ended, and I'd like to give you an update. So about a year ago, I came before you and expressed concern about our magistrate and lockup situation, and I was hopeful that we would be able to solve this problem through adding staff at the office and utilizing the building as a Department of Corrections certified lockup. That pretty much ran into a brick wall, and working with the comp board and the jail authority, the positions are there, they're unfilled, but it became problematic because jail space is currently not needed in this region. The jail space is adequate through the Blue Ridge system, and to add additional jail space is not going to happen, and the positions aren't going to be shifted to the sheriff's office unless we have a jail, and quite frankly, we don't need jail space, we need a lockup. So that avenue to solve the problem of magistrate, law enforcement, public interaction that's not feasible. The problem statement that I want to put out there is that the public is not being served properly by our current magistrate system, period. I have documented in the past, just since January, over 30, and this is just a quick search, I could dig deeper and find more, but at least 30 times where I have documented where citizens have requested magistrate assistance, and it has either required an officer to come in off the road to assist them with simple tasks such as faxing, paper, pens, or they have been flat out told that no one can help them and they need to go to Buckingham, Prince Edward, Charlotte, somewhere like that. So our citizens are coming to the magistrate for help and being turned away. And that is a quick search. I came up with over 30 incidents where that happened. There's a lot of reasons. And Ms. Adams and I have been in several meetings, and I want to give credit where credit's due. She's done a tremendous job in the past few months on trying to help me solve this. And we've had some very frank meetings with the magistrate and their leadership in Richmond. And I don't want to be doom and gloom. I think we're making some progress. I think that in the last week or two, we've really covered some areas. Some really frank conversations have been had. And a lot of credit's due to Ms. Adams for making these things happen and actually making some movement. This has been a problem since 2012. January 1st, 2012, when our jail closed, our magistrate system went to a basically on-call video shared magistrate system. We have not had a full-time magistrate in that office since then. Some quick facts to put this in perspective. If you know these, which you probably do, I apologize, but I want to put it out there. The 10th Circuit, which is what we're in, consists of Appomattox, Buckingham, Charlotte, Cumberland, Halifax, Lunenburg, Mecklenburg, and Prince Edward. The populations of those counties, Halifax is highest at almost 34,000, Mecklenburg's 30,000, Prince Edward's almost 22, and these are 2022 numbers. Buckingham and Appomattox, I consider us about tied, and we're both pushing 17,000 people. Lunenburg is less than us, Charlotte, Cumberland, and they're all less population, and we have been consistently told that we don't have the numbers to justify a full-time magistrate. And I have frankly I have pushed hard against those, what they're calling magistrate visits, and the data that they're collecting to say we don't have these numbers. I have countered with some data that I feel is important, that I think shows a clearer picture, one being population. I think there is certainly a correlation between magistrate visits and population, and our magistrate visits should be consistent with other counties of similar population, which I think they are. And the reason our numbers are low, because nobody's there. And if nobody's there to visit with the person, they're not going to have a visit. They're getting frustrated and they're leaving. So we have times where people have come to get protective orders, emergency custody orders, where they are met with frustration, where they leave and go home. They're so exasperated from dealing with this system, they pack up and go home. And those are domestics that happen in the future. We have had people come to the office, try to get help, they go home, and then there's another 911 call because the problem is unresolved. I looked at circuit court caseloads, which that, in my mind, if you had a felony going to and through circuit court, in resolution in circuit court, that would have had to start at some point with some law enforcement magistrate interaction, which is one number, and those fall along those same population lines. Almost identical to the population versus circuit court. So we're right there with Buckingham at 4th in the 10th Circuit. The total arrest number, which is number compiled from the state police arrest and the county sheriff's arrest. And those numbers are also consistent. We're actually right there with Charlotte County on those. So I tell you those facts to tell you how many magistrates are assigned to each county. Halifax has 3. Prince Edward has 3. Mecklenburg has 2. Lunenburg has 1. Charlotte has 1. Buckingham has 1. Appomattox, 0. So we have and have had 0 full-time magistrates assigned to our county for years. It really became a problem when they do have a schedule, and they have on occasion sent someone to cover this county. That came to a standstill 2020, 2021, and we went for months without having a human being in our office. And this is when it got really bad. This is when I tried different solutions, problems, looking at having a lockup, looking at different things. Ms. Adams and I met several times, and we have really started some very frank, heart-to-heart meeting with the magistrate system, and finally I feel like a little bit of progress is being made. I think we're far from this being solved. I feel like I'm leaving my term with this, like I said, is that it's an unsolved issue that I wanted to see in a better spot than we're currently in. We're certainly moving towards a mix of live magistrate, video magistrate system. We're making some progress on technology. This is an old fax machine-based system that the magistrates, their initial push is to expect citizens to use fax machines and fax documents, and really antiquated technology that, quite frankly, I think is pretty ridiculous in this day and time when there are a lot of other options, which I think we're talking to the right people to get some more modern e-fax, that type of thing. It's a work in progress. A week ago, I didn't think we'd have any progress. Last week, we met again, and I feel like we've hit the right people. Some people came from Richmond that really seem to be problem solvers, and they're trying to do some things. And I know Mr. Shepard is helping a lot in trying to get some of the infrastructure set up at the jail. I'm not coming here with my hand out, but I do want to leave the thought in your mind. I think that one quick avenue for the county to help alleviate some of the stress on the citizens, the office, and the magistrate is an increase in the deputy staff. If I could have another deputy out at night, then we could assist more, and it would assist in keeping at least 2 people in the county at all times. We're in situations now where if an arrest is made and deputies are answering mental health calls by themselves, they're answering domestic calls by themselves. If an arrestee, it's taking them 2-3 hours to process a single arrest and get them to Amherst and get them back out on the road. And having 3 people out as opposed to 2 would make a huge difference in public safety and officer safety. This is, like, I wanted to give you an update, give you something to think about in the upcoming year, and hold the magistrate's feet to the fire. I know Ms. Adams will, and this is an ongoing project, but it may take additional pressure to make sure these things happen. And they have got to give us more than what they've been giving us. Whether it's a combination of, we need a full-time magistrate. We're justified by numbers to have a full-time magistrate here. And with a 40-hour-a-week magistrate and the additional technology, and if there's a way to have some additional staff in my office to work at night to help solve some of these problems, I think we'll be okay. But those things have to happen. And it's a real public safety issue that has been going too long. I was really hoping to get a solid problem solved in my term, and in the closing couple of months, I don't see this being 100% solved in the next 2 months, but we're in the right direction. And I think but we got to stay on it. And I hope that will happen. Any questions?
Floor is open.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Hogan.
have y'all happened to talk to Jonathan Green in Richmond?
Yes, he has been part of our meetings. Yes, we have.
And we may need to reach out to our new senator and/or delegate, probably both. Because as I understand it from talking to I've talked to those folks too, for one of their issues that they're trying to, I won't say is an excuse, but this is one of the things they're working. There's 12 jurisdictions, whatever it is. They have one less magistrate position than counties in the district. And we're happen to be the ones that got stuck without a magistrate. So they can't hire another one because they don't have another position to fill. Might be something we need to talk to our senator or state delegate about. But I agree with you, the numbers don't really justify having other people having them than we don't, when they have lower numbers than we do. But I happen to know that those magistrates live in those counties. So think about that, that's part of the problem.
Mr. Hinkle.
Mr. Chairman, what I don't understand, if I understood what he said right, there is one county that has 3 magistrates. Why couldn't they move that one to our county? It looks to me that means they have enough positions, but enough people. They just don't have them distributed.
Now, you and Ms. Adams y'all have connected now with the right people. You know. What's your feeling? You feel like something's positive come out of this?
I feel like we're making movement in the right direction to solve some of the problems. But we need a live magistrate here, someone assigned to Appomattox that comes here every day, and it's their office, and they take interest in it, and they take ownership of it. That's what we need.
Exactly.
Would it help if we as a board sent a letter to the chief magistrate or the Supreme Court to say, look, this is the problem, we need a body, you know, what do we got to do to fix it? I mean, would that hurt?
No, I definitely don't think it would hurt. I think it would help, and I think it would help for you all to, keep them to that standard.
Yeah, I like it too.
And if I could ask another question, you didn't bring it up tonight, but before you brought it up about the magistrates in Amherst, because they're in a different judicial district, can't write for crimes that occurred in Appomattox County, even though that's where our folks go to the jail. I found out that they can be designated a special magistrate, I forget the term they use, outside of their district. So they could just designate the Amherst magistrates or any magistrate in that district that served the jail as a special magistrate for Appomattox County, not the whole 10th district, because nobody else goes to that jail. But that might be something else we need to ask about to alleviate that situation.
And that is true, and that is one of the bullet points that they presented as a partial solution. It's one of those things that, we don't have the authority to make them do anything. The excuses are, well, it takes training, it's different policy. Yes, you're right, it can be done, and we will get to it. But we've had so many changes, personnel, there's excuses. But yes, that is true, and it needs to happen. And that would make a difference.
Well, Sheriff, it used to be, I don't know if it's still pertinent now, that, let's say, you got a speedster going through Appomattox County, headed westbound into Campbell. Can the Appomattox deputy continue his pursuit? Yeah, issuing a ticket or whatever?
Yeah, you can pursue someone into, as long as you're in continuous pursuit, yes, we can pursue into another county.
That's why I thought then, if you can do that, look like that magistrate would be able to
Well,
intervene now.
The problem presents itself, and they're in the 24th district, we're in the 10th. And in addition to districts, there are different regions, so you have a whole different set of, their explanation, different people, different rules, and it requires additional training and complications.
I feel for you. I feel for the county.
Yeah, it really is a real problem that impacts the citizens, and that's why I care so much about it.
Well, I'm just happy that you and Ms. Adams on top of it.
I'll just throw one last thing out there. I happened to be in a meeting last week where I know that several years ago, they moved the magistrates from under the purview of the local circuit court judge to an office in the Supreme Court of Virginia down in Richmond. There is some talk about sending that, reversing that, and going back to where the circuit court judge has control over the magistrates. The magistrates don't want that to happen. It might be something we need to remind our new senator and new delegate that if that's what it takes to get it done. But we definitely talk to our new folks that are going to be elected in November.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
in and giving us that information. Okay, gentlemen, let's move over to action items. Because we got to wait till 7 on this. Oh, we don't? Okay. All right, we've got a public hearing, resolution to authorize use of the PPEA ordinance. Attached for the board's consideration is a resolution to authorize the use of the PPEA ordinance for proposals involving the renovation of the historic courthouse. This resolution determines that utilizing the PPEA procedure is likely to be advantageous to the county and public based upon the probable scope, complexity, and priority of need. Only one PPA proposal was submitted, which was Jameson Lewis Construction. And Mr. William Cook, on August the 21st, 2023, and presented the construction appeared before the board, here we go, on August the 21st, in regards to the proposal for the renovation of the public historic courthouse. And the board authorized staff to schedule a public hearing for September 28, 2023 to receive comments. We have one person signed up currently. Yeah. Okay. Any thoughts, opinions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not quite clear what the resolution, whether, it's not saying that we're going to adopt the project as is. It's just saying we're going to use this method to get to where we want to be. Is that what it's saying?
It's actually saying less than that, or sort of saying that. What it's saying is, we think this is the best method to go forward on this project, based on our opinion is the complexity and the skill set of the folks that have made the proposal, that it's in the county's best interest to look at using PPA. That's all it's saying. So, yeah, you'll still have to approve the PPA. This is the chance for the public to give input, whether they think it's a good idea to move forward on a PPA or not. That's really all this is tonight, is a public hearing, so the public can say, yeah, we think it's a good idea, or we don't think it's a good idea.
Do we need to adopt the resolution before we can do the public hearing?
No, you do the public hearing and then adopt the resolution.
Okay, does the resolution say, yeah, we're going to do what the PPEA summary said?
It says PPA procedure is likely to be resolved to be advantageous to the county and the public based upon the probable scope, complexity, and priority needs. So this just says, yes, staff, go forward on negotiating this PPA. That's all this says.
Okay.
It's just required by state law.
Any other questions, comments? If not, is there a motion then to adopt the attached?
You got to do public hearing.
I thought they were backwards, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, I kept seeing this right here,
Oh, I'm
public
sorry,
hearing.
They are backwards. My mistake.
Okay.
The next one's the public hearing. Sorry, I apologize. This is the resolution saying move forward to the public hearing. I jumped ahead of myself, sorry.
No, you didn't really, because I did too, because under public hearing, that's what it says.
So it's a motion to adopt the resolution.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution as written.
Is there a second? Discussion? Maybe so, maybe not.
I'm not sold on the summary that we got. I've got some questions about it. I'm okay with the process of using the PPEA, but as long as this is not a final vote on yes, this is what I want to do.
Oh, it's not even close to a final vote on what, yes, this is a vote to say, we're okay with talking. The next public hearing is the public saying, we think it's a good idea or a bad idea. Assuming you were to move forward after the public hearing, it's then that we begin to work on a contract, which we would bring back to you, and it would be actually at the approval of the contract that you decide to go this route. So there's actually all this says, the first resolution is, yeah, we think it's a good idea to use PPA. The second is the public hearing, and if you say yes, go forward, then we actually start working on an agreement, which we bring back to you guys. And until you approve an agreement, nothing happens.
Okay.
Any questions, Reverend Jones?
No, sir.
Okay. So we had the motion.
Need a roll call.
In a second, okay. Roll call vote, Mr. Hips, Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Hinkle,
Aye.
Mr. Hogan.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Okay, moving on. Public hearing, renovation and adoptive reuse of the 1890s Appomattox County Courthouse PPEA proposal. As duly advertised, public hearing has been scheduled for September the 18th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Appomattox County solicited proposals via a request for proposals, RFP, for the renovation and reuse of the 1890s Appomattox County Courthouse. The county received a proposal on about June the 22nd of 2023 from public-private partnership to provide engineering, design, and construction services for renovation and construction related to the reuse of the 1890s Appomattox County Courthouse located at 331/335 Court Street, Appomattox, Virginia. The Board of Supervisors is considering accepting the proposal and entering into a comprehensive agreement. Per the PPEA guidelines adopted by the Appomattox County Board of Supervisors is seeking public comment on the proposal prior to the decision being made regarding the comprehensive agreement. And we have one person that has signed up to speak, and that's Mr. Wolfskill. Please.
Ken Wolfskill, Poorhouse Creek Road, Appomattox. I'm actually very excited to see that old building fixed up. It's a keepsake. The only reason I wanted to talk to the board tonight about it is actually something that I chatted with Susan about one day. Our family, when we need to make an expenditure, we take money out of the savings account. We set up a repayment loan, and we pay ourselves back with direct withdrawal and deposit, and we set an interest rate. So while we're using our savings account money, we are actually building our savings account money rather than giving that interest to another entity. It stays within the family. So, yeah, the savings account goes up and down. I would like to suggest on this project, any public money that we need to use to make the renovations, we use our county's money. We borrow from ourselves, set up a direct payment as if we had borrowed from an entity, and pay it back, and pay ourselves 1% interest or whatever the interest rate would be. It would be self-funding, and it would be making the county stronger. And that's all I had to say. Just wanted to make that suggestion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to address the board concerning the PPEA proposal? Mr. Cook?
Good evening, Board. Good morning, Mr. Jones. Very excited for the opportunity to move this project forward.
Don't forget your name in there.
Sorry, William Cook, Jamerson Lewis Construction, based out of Lynchburg, Virginia, 1306 Stevenson Avenue. But it started right down the road here at 1549 Confederate Boulevard. And we're excited again for this opportunity to move this project forward to the next level of development and find a long-term best use for the iconic landmark that is the historic courthouse. Just real quick to address, I think, some of the concerns regarding where we are in the process. It is just a starting point. What we have currently is a need that the county's expressed through the solicitation of PPA proposals. Our goal will be to find the best solution over the next month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it takes to get us to a comprehensive agreement, and then make sure we deliver the best value for the county. So we look forward to those next steps and sitting down at the table with the county, assuming everything moves forward. But again, real quick, just to give you a quick representation of where we are, we have the original submission plan, which includes the addition everybody see that? Includes the access and egress addition for the public to the plain west side, sorry, of the building. The floor plans for that. Right now, the access here, which was just an initial thought as to best solution, was out towards the front of the courthouse. The floor plan for that included the new stair, lobby, elevator, upper lobby, bathrooms, hallways, corridors, custodial closets, and additional storage, in addition to the new meeting room with the breakout Board of Supervisor kind of closed session room and support spaces. And then the lower level, which had the lower lobby, which is the main public entry, the stair, the elevator, crawl space. Just making best use of what we have there and building the addition to where it helps better unify the campus. So that's where we started. Other options that we've begun to explore include just pivoting, rotating the main entry for the public into the new addition, facing the public parking lot, so facing what I'm calling plain due west. You see it's turned versus having it face the same direction as the front of the historic courthouse. Now you enter a lower lobby with combined stair elevator that leads you up to the main level of the new Board of Supervisors meeting room. Then up into the upper lobby hallway with access, toilets, corridors, and storage. Now, one thing that's been made apparent to us is the need for an office space. And we're looking right now, having internal discussions on how we can accommodate that. We're confident we absolutely can. So, again, just want to show that this is a starting point of the project. We're continuing to look for those best solutions, and moving this project forward allows us to sit down at the table with you guys really for the first time and figure out exactly what that solution is going to look like. So I can leave these here, Mr. Spencer, let you guys look over them if you'd like. And just want to offer that additional color, and then let anybody else ask questions if they need to.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else to address the board on this? If not, hereby close this public hearing. Now, we've received comments on the proposal submitted by Jameson Lewis Construction Company and consider authorizing staff and Jameson Lewis Construction to proceed with the preparation of the comprehensive agreement. Discussion. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Hope.
I guess I got a question. We contracted with another company a couple of years ago to look at that building and to see what its potential was. Did we ever get a final report from those people?
Is it Mr. Harvey? And we did.
And obviously, I don't remember what's in it.
Willis, I can tell you this, there's a lot of things that Mr. Cook has revised, coming from Mr. Harvey's original, that from the facilities meetings that we've had recommendations. So he has put that into action.
I'm not opposed to proceeding with talking and figuring out where we go from here. I have some real reservations about the current plan, but I am willing to talk and see what we can come up with.
Further discussion? Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve, to continue with preparation of a comprehensive agreement.
Motion made, is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Hips.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Mr. Hinkle.
Aye.
Mr. Hogan.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Okay. Next is action items. Under action items, Proven Ministries, Skeet Shoot fundraiser event application. Please see the attached event application from event organizer Lauren McQuillan of Max Dexter Event Design and Proven Ministries, requested to hold an event on September the 30th, 2023. The event would be held at 1812 Patterson School Road, Appomattox, Virginia. This is a reoccurring event since 2019. The Public Safety Director, Building Official, Fire Official, Sheriff, Zone Administrator, and County Administrator have received, provided comments, and signed the application for permit issuance. Discussion on this. Anyone?
Mr. Chairman, I know this is in Mr. Jones's district, but I did speak to a neighbor to see if they had any issues with any of the prior events that they had, and they did not. They said they run a good event, so I'll just throw that out there for informational purposes.
Okay, further discussion? Is there a motion then to approve the attached application and consider bond fee waiver?
So moved.
Is that second?
Second.
Further discussion? We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Hips?
Aye.
Reverend Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Hinkle?
Aye.
Mr. Hogan?
Aye.
I also vote aye. Next is Chippy Hippie Vintage Market Event Application. Please see the attached event application from event organizer Monica Evans or Chippy Hippie LLC to hold an event on September 22nd and 23rd, 2023. The event will be held at 3154 James River Road, Gladstone, Virginia. This is a reoccurring event since 2021. The Public Safety Director, Building Official, Fire Official, Sheriff, Zone Administrator, and County Administrator have reviewed, provided comments, and signed the application for permit issuance. Discussion.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I don't approve this, my wife will be unhappy with me because she enjoys this event.
All right. So that motion to that effect.
I'll make a motion. We approve the Chippy Hippie Market event.
Is that a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. Hips.
Aye.
Reverend Jones.
Aye.
Mr. Hinkle.
Aye.
Mr. Hogan.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Next is the Oakville Ruatan Building. At the August 21st, 2023 meeting, the board reviewed a request from the Appomattox Community and Disaster Relief Organization for the use of the Oakville building owned by the county. After discussion, the board tabled this request to the September the 18th, 2023 meeting to allow staff to obtain the cost to maintain the building. Attached for our review is a list of utilities paid. And you had that, it was within your packet, the electric bill and the, what was that, propane, I forgot. Okay. Now, considering that and the expenditures that have been listed, discussion. Any discussion by anyone?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a real strong feeling either way about this. I don't mind if they use it. I will reiterate what I said last month. I don't think we need to continue owning it. I think it's time for us to dispose of the property. But I wouldn't necessarily object to them using it while we have it.
Okay. Further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Hinkle.
I got a question. I guess would be for Miss Adams. Somebody told me that on the old jail, the arrangement we have, that the county still covers the utilities on that building, even though the Historical Society's using it?
Part of the utilities. We were covering the water because we didn't have a separate disconnect. So we were paying that and we were paying the electricity. I think propane, they're responsible for that themselves.
I'm trying to find,
We had one meter.
I'm trying to find the expenditures paid, darn it. Total $1,600. Okay, just wanted to, oh, yes.
Mr. Chairman, 'cause I'm like Mr. Hogan. I think that, you know, I got no objection for letting them use it. I think they should share in some of the utility costs, though, similar to, you know, what we're doing with the Historical Society. And I also don't think that we should own it anymore. It's kind of like the movie The Money Pit.
Okay, I see this is as twofold. So, is there a motion to approve the rental of this building to, of the Oakville Ruatan building? Is there a motion to approve that? To the-
Is that, Mr. Chairman, is that what we need? Do we need Mr. Latchney? Do we need a board action, or can we just, what do we need there to allow that to happen?
I will come back with a motion, ask for a motion to get rid of the building.
Well, that's a separate issue.
Yes.
First issue is a motion to address their request,
Yeah.
and then if you want to make a motion to have staff explore disposing, we'll have to have a public hearing to get rid of the building, but, yeah.
Yeah, and then just to add on, just for our recollection, you know, it is a voting precinct, so we can't just dispose of the, you know, building outright without finding another substitute location.
Well, I mean, one option would be to dispose of the building and with the agreement that whoever purchases or receives the building gives us a lease for X years to continue to use it as a polling place. So we could certainly make that part of the contingency of accepting ownership of the building.
I like that better.
Sounds like, Mr. Chairman, sounds like there's a lot of moving parts. We got to worry about the voting precinct. We got to worry about, do we want to sell it? Do we?
I can make I'll make if I may, make a motion that we allow the, you have this long abbreviation for your, the,
ACDRO.
yeah, that. If we would allow that for, at least the time period while we're deciding what to do with it and trying to figure that out.
Okay, you make that in form of motion? Is that a second?
Second?
I did cut you off, and I apologize for that, but
So how much rent are we going to charge?
well, we're paying for the building to
Well,
be.
wait a minute. There's a motion on the floor, and it's been seconded. Further discussion. Mr. Hinkle.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go back to what I was saying. I think there's a lot of moving parts here. I would prefer send this to the public, to the Facilities Committee and try to weave through some of these obstacles and questions. And I don't know how long it would take us to sell it, if we decide to sell it. It might take 6 months, it might take a year, it might take 3 days. I don't know. I wouldn't want them to move all their stuff in and then turn around and tell them they can move it out. I don't think it'd be fair to them to spend all that labor and time moving down there, and then you gotta get out.
Okay. All right. Motion has been made and second. We've had discussion, and we'll take a vote on what we've heard. Mr. Hibbs?
Aye.
Reverend Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Hinkle? Mr. Hogan?
No,
I'll vote aye. Okay, so we still need to come up with the logistics on this building as it stands now, but we're moving forward. Now, what is it, Ms. Adams?
Okay, so you just voted to lease the building
Yes.
or use.
The,
Does it have a set amount? Is that what
No.
part of the motion?
No.
Or there
No.
any-
That's got to be looked at.
Ms. Adams, to clarify, the original, the history of this request, as it was presented to us originally, was that Mr. Adams presented that this organization provided various forms of relief for the county. He stated clearly that they did not have the funds. And I believe the intention was that the building sits vacant and was asking, since the building was sitting vacant, for use of the facility. That is the spirit, if you will, of what I make that motion under. I'm not, I think that, and this could be a separate motion, I would think that it would make sense that if we evaluated the spending of the utilities and it was, dramatically higher than what it costs us to pay for the empty building that we're already paying utilities on, then I think we could have some conversation about that at a later time. But the intention, I think, has been clear from the start from Mr. Adams.
Right, and I understood the same thing. So therefore, we need to move this to the Facilities Committee to, as I say, study, adjust, whatever, the rental aspect of it. And any other adjoining questions. Okay? Okay, next. Oh, I moved up too fast. School appropriation request. The Appomattox County Public Schools is requesting the appropriation of a SCAP grant awards fund in the amount of $4,500,000. The ACPS applied for this grant opportunity through the Virginia Department of Education SCAP to support the completion of many of the addendum items included in the Appomattox County High School additions and renovations, PPEA. Attached for our review is appropriation request and notice of reward from the Department of Education.
Mr. Chairman, may I speak to this?
Please.
Because of the amount, it's over the 1%, and as you know, we now have a state budget, so we're going to make revisions to our current budget. I would request that you set a public hearing for October. We would make all the changes, integrate it into a amended budget to present in October.
Okay, yeah, great. And we said we do have a state budget. Glory.
Well, we haven't gotten the numbers. Around the 1st of October, we should get the final numbers.
Any questions on that from anybody?
Does that still give them time to do what they need? The school system, they don't need this tonight.
Well, we can't do it tonight.
Okay. Enough said. Thank you.
Everything okay there, Reverend Jones?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't ordain tonight, I didn't even ask for it.
Yeah.
I tell you, Reverend Jones, this has been quite a night.
I tell you, got another reverend. That's good.
Okay, next is committee appointments. Library Board of Trustees appointment. Staff and the board received an email from Mrs. Nancy Jo Billings on August the 30th, 2023, submitting her resignation effective immediately on the Library Board of Trustees due to her current work schedule as a nurse. Mrs. Billings was appointed June the 19th, 2023, to the J. Robert Jameson Memorial Library of Trustees to fill the unexpired term ending June the 30th, 2026, as a Piney Mountain District Representative. Mr. Hips has submitted a recommendation for consideration of appointment to the attached email. Her name is Demi Brooke Kerr. And there has been others, I understand, Mr. Reverend Jones?
Yes, sir.
I'm addressing this to you because I know it's your district.
Yes. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Okay. I have received outstanding requests to be part of the trustees of the library board. Several of the names come to the top. I would like to make a nomination tonight, and I base my nomination on the need of some expertise for that board. And the person that I would like to nominate is Madeline Abbott. She is an educator. She taught literacy. She is a lobbyist, if you will. She is a consultant. And I feel like her skill set would serve the board very well. And it was a very difficult decision for me to come to, but I think that she, at this time, would be the best candidate.
Okay, thank you. So, you've heard the representative from the Piney Mountain District nominate Madeline Abbott. Discussion. Hearing none. You made that in form of a motion, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Hips,
No.
Mr. Reverend Jones,
Yeah.
Mr. Hinkle, Mr. Hogan.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So it's a 3-2. And Ms. Adams, will you take care of the notification? And we thank everybody that did try to apply for this. That's great that we had more than one person. All right, next thing is a consent agenda. The consent agenda includes approval of all bills, minutes, supplemental appropriations, line item transfers, and fund transfers. Any item on the consent agenda shall be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any board member prior to the vote on the consent agenda. Items removed from the consent agenda shall be considered by the board individually in order in which they were removed from the consent agenda immediately following consideration of the consent agenda. And gentlemen, I hope everyone's had the opportunity to review the consent agenda as written. Is it any items or item that anyone would like to discuss or get clarification on? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as is?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we pay the bills.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. Hips.
All right.
Reverend Jones.
Aye.
Mr. Hinkle.
Aye.
Mr. Hogan.
Aye.
I vote aye. Okay. Mr. Latchney.
And Mr. Chairman, what I've prepared for you in consultation with our planning director, I'll give you a little history on, or a little background. Variances to zoning ordinance, there's state law that allows variances. They're really hard to get. It's not easy to get a variance. A lot of people think, well, I can just go get a variance. For example, a setback, where our setbacks, for some reason, you just can't meet our setback. Under state law, there's two ways to get variances. One is from the BZA. In fact, that's one of the primary functions of a BZA, Board of Zoning Appeals. State law allows the planning director also, or designated agent of the board, to grant variances. Our ordinance does that. So our ordinance basically has two paths you can take. You could go the BZA route to seek a variance, or you could apply to our staff. That's not an efficient way of doing it, and it's really probably not a good idea I don't think it's a good idea in the long run to put the pressure on staff to make those decisions. BZA they're appointed by the court, and they have court responsibilities. And so my suggestion is we eliminate the authority of our planning director to grant variances and do what almost all jurisdictions do. If you want a variance, go to the BZA, and then the same rule applies to everybody. Because what you have now is people that can pick and choose, well, I'll apply to the director, and then he's subject to people putting pressure on him, somebody knows somebody, that kind of thing. It just is, it protects the county, it protects staff if we're not the ones being asked to provide variances, because our planning director is the same one that enforces the zoning ordinance, so it's kind of odd to have him enforcing the zoning ordinance and also being able to give variances. So my recommendation is that we add this to an upcoming public hearing and cause all future variance requests to go through the BZA and to eliminate the ability to seek them from our planning director. If anybody has any questions, let me know.
That's good. That is good. You'll set the public hearing for October? Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Latchney?
No, Mr. Chairman, that's it.
Thank you. Ms. Adams? No, we didn't. Yes, the next meeting? Yeah,
The head nod's okay.
Okay.
The head nod's okay.
You okay with that, Reverend Jones?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, excuse me.
You have before you the county administrator's report for the month of August, and there's data there from the different departments. One thing to notate that's in your board book is in the far back, there's an invitation from the school, and that's to participate in a tour. So if you're interested in participating in that, please RSVP or let us know, and we can RSVP on your behalf.
Put me down.
You done yet?
If I can make my schedule work.
We're gonna start till 12:30.
Yes.
In the past, it's been in the morning, I think.
And that's the reason why I can make it. I ain't gonna get up in the middle of the night. Oh,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Hinkle.
is Ms. Adams making the RSVPs for all of us? Is
I
that what?
can,
All right. Add me to the list, please.
okay.
I'm not sure.
You won't be here, will you, Reverend Jones?
I'll be returning on by the 27th of this
Okay.
month, yes.
Okay. You can just let Ms. Adams know if you plan on
Okay,
it.
sure.
Okay.
Are there any questions from the report?
I did it. I did have one, but that was on the consent agenda. There, that's all right.
You can ask it.
Okay, well, the deputy's overtime pay. We're going in the red, and we can take it from court services. Is that what you're saying?
From fines and forfeitures.
Fine and fortunes.
That was on the agenda last month, and we brought it forward to this month.
Yes,
Because there were some technical issues with how those monies could be spent.
okay. So we okay then?
We're okay.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Hinkle?
I got a question on the report here under the community center. It lists that the Oakville Ruritan building was rented by one group. And I was curious, how many times out of the year does that building get rented? And how, I hadn't considered that under our agreement we just made.
I talked to Ms. Dixon about that over the past couple of weeks. And last year was rented about 4 times. But what happens if the community center is rented and somebody's having a birthday party or a smaller function, they'll rent the Oakville Ruritan.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Next, supervisor concerns. Mr. Hibbs.
My concern would be primarily that Mrs. Abbott, who was just appointed to the library board, understands the express desire of the content that our constituents very clearly told us that they wanted in the library. The person that I nominated, I know what she thinks. I do not know what Mrs. Abbott thinks, and again, I only hope that she's in agreement so that we don't have to go through that all again.
Okay. Mr. Hinkle.
I guess I have that same concern. I thought that Ms. Abbott had great qualifications for library director. I had this vision that a library board is more made up of the people who are using the library with children and whatnot, and not a professional educator or somebody with all those academic credentials. So that was my concern. My second concern, if I may, is I do have a constituent who's would like our animal control officers to do more with feral cats. And looking at the animal control report here, it's like we need 6 more animal control officers just to handle the dog issues that we have based on this report here, and also based on the additional responsibilities they have with court hearings and whatnot. So, and then finally, I just like to, I'm not going to read the poll letter here, but Ms. Jotricia Humbles had asked that a letter be read because she's not able to attend here tonight due to other things. And just basically, some of her concerns was that we had asked in June, I believe it was, how the use of the community center was. And I just wanted to note that every month, we do get a report that how the community center is used. It was used by, had 18 groups visit the facilities this month. Then she goes on to express the problem we have, where there's nothing around here for the youth to do, is basically what she's saying. And I guess those are all things that would be nice to have if we had the budget, but we're not Lynchburg, we're not Bedford and some of the other places that have, you know, YMCA's and Boys and Girls Clubs and whatnot. And I don't know if the citizens of Appomattox are ready to have their taxes increased to provide these type of facilities. But, so I just wanted to bring up her concerns since she wasn't here to address them. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Hogan?
I was glad to see the report come back from the LGIP on our earnings last month. Is Vicki here?
Yeah, she's back.
I can't see. Good job, thank you. So that looks like that was a wise move, and appreciate y'all, again, looking into that and following up on that.
Okay. I don't have any, and upon saying that, Mr. Hinkle.
I believe we should rise, Mr. Chairman.
All right.